When the sun sets and the world goes quiet, a different kind of reality wakes up. One that hides in the dark corners of lonely roads, watches from behind snow-covered trees, or waits outside your window while you're lost in a movie. Tonight on Cast Mystery, we're diving into 3 real stories of people who were completely alone until they weren't. What started as ordinary evenings turned into nightmares that still haunt them to this day. These aren't urban legends. These aren't ghost tales. These are encounters with real human monsters. So lock your doors, dim the lights, and get ready for Something Was Out There. 3 real horror stories that happen when you're alone at night. The passenger who wasn't there. It was January, the heart of winter. A man named Jordan had planned a long solo road trip from Wisconsin to Montana. He liked the freedom of the open road and thought it'd be cheaper to drive straight through the night instead of stopping for a hotel. At 7 p.m., he loaded his car with snacks, an energy drink or 2, and a playlist for the drive. The first stretch of the journey was peaceful, passing through sleepy towns and into the forest-lined highways. After an hour, gas stations became fewer and far between. That's when he stopped at a tiny, abandoned-looking gas station with 4 rusted pumps. The convenience store was shuttered. While waiting for the slow pump to fill his tank, another car crept past, much slower than the posted 55 miles per hour. It stopped, reversed, and pulled into the lot. A tall man in a gray flannel shirt stepped out. He didn't start pumping gas. He just stared at Jordan. Jordan smiled awkwardly, then looked away. Finally, the man began fueling, and Jordan, now slightly unnerved, finished up and drove away. Hours passed. It began to rain. Jordan was exhausted and pulled into another desolate gas station around 1 a.m. After filling up again, he parked to the side and set an alarm to nap for 30 minutes. When he woke up, the rain was still tapping the roof, and so was something else. A feeling, a sense. As he blinked and looked forward through the foggy windshield, he froze. That same car from earlier was parked at a pump, but the man was nowhere to be seen. Panic surged. He reached for the ignition, but then saw movement in the rearview mirror. The man was in the back seat. Jordan didn't think. He kicked open the door and bolted into the rain. The car, still in reverse, drifted back slowly as the man watched him from inside. Then, he drove off. Jordan's phone was still inside. Desperate, he ran to the man's abandoned car. To his shock, it wasn't locked. The keys were in the ignition, groceries in the back, and on the floor, a phone. He used it to call 911. What police later told him chilled him to the bone. The car had been reported stolen. Authorities believed the man had done the same thing to someone else, except that person hadn't gotten away. Jordan's car and the attacker were never found. Tracks in the snow. The second story takes place in a wooded town 45 minutes outside a city. The narrator, a man named Kyle, lived in a small home tucked between rows of pine trees. It was quiet, safe, or so he thought. It was a Friday night. He'd just gotten off work early and was relaxing when a friend called, needing a ride due to car trouble. Kyle grabbed his jacket, opened the front door, and nearly screamed. A man stood directly in front of him on the porch, less than a foot away. He wore a thick coat and a neck scarf that covered the lower half of his face. He didn't flinch. He didn't seem surprised. He just asked, "Is David here?" Kyle said no. The man muttered, "Sorry," and walked off slowly into the night. After driving his friend home and grabbing dinner, Kyle returned to his house around 9 p.m. It had started snowing, but all seemed normal. He locked the door, turned on the TV, and dozed off. Sometime later, he woke up and remembered the man. A strange chill crept in, so he walked to the front door to peek out. The porch was empty, but something made him step outside. That's when he saw the tracks, fresh footprints coming from the road, circling his car and disappearing into the woods. He locked the door immediately. As he paced, trying to calm his thoughts, he heard a soft thump. Then again, and then, a loud bang from the back of the house. There was someone trying to break in. Kyle grabbed his keys and ran for his car. As he sped off, he looked back. The back door was hanging open. Police later confirmed the door had been beaten in with a heavy object. Wet footprints tracked through his house, but the intruder had vanished. There was no proof it was the same man from earlier, but deep down, Kyle knew. And worse, he knew the man might return someday. Babysitter's Nightmare. Our final story comes from 2019. Sarah, a 20-year-old college student, worked part-time as a babysitter. She had been watching a 3-year-old boy every week for about a month. The parents were quiet, polite, and always left around bedtime. This night seemed no different. She arrived at 8 p.m., was told the boy was already asleep, and the parents left. She sat in the living room, scrolling through her phone. Then, the mom called. Confused, Sarah answered. The mother asked if she'd just called her. Sarah said no. The mom said she'd gotten a silent call from an unknown number and thought maybe Sarah had tried to reach her from a different phone. Strange, but not alarming. 20 minutes later, headlights shined through the blinds. Sarah peeked outside. A rusty gray sedan was parked on the curb. A man stood next to it, staring at the house. After a few minutes, he got back in and drove off, but not far. The car parked again down the street. The lights turned off. Sarah considered calling the parents, but decided not to overreact. She kept checking on the boy and watching TV. Time passed. She got sleepy. Then came the sound. Tap. Thump. At first, she thought it was her imagination, but then she saw it. A man at the back door, pulling at the handle. When their eyes met, he yanked harder. She ran upstairs, grabbed the child, and just as she came down, the man broke in. He had a knife and charged at her. Sarah threw open the front door and escaped, barely outrunning him. The man vanished before police arrived. The parents thanked her, but never hired her again. They cut off all contact. Sarah later discovered the mother had a past marriage to someone who resembled the intruder. She'll never know for sure who he was or why he came. But she knows one thing. If she had waited even 10 seconds longer, she and the boy might not have made it out. Evil doesn't always wear a mask. Sometimes it wears a flannel shirt, or stands quietly on your porch, or waits in the back seat of your car. Be aware, stay safe, and remember, the scariest things don't hide under your bed. They wait until you're alone. If you enjoyed these stories, don't forget to like, subscribe, and turn on the bell for more real horror stories every week. This is Cast Mystery. Sleep tight if you can.